Yeah, the document's open. I'm finding it now. Apologize for the wait. This computer is ridiculous. Okay. So when we last left off, we were in the middle of Josh's origin. So we're going to continue with that. Yeah. Okay, so the last time we left off, Josh was Josh just found out that the doctor that raised him was the doctor that coerced his parents. That was a weird sound. Coerced his parents into abandoning him, and Josh just left the doctor to sit in the room alone. So we'll continue off from there. Once again, apologies for the wait with setting up. Like I said, I'm late to the stream, and the computer didn't want to work. So here we go. Josh spent the next few days crashing on Cox's couch, and just when he considered going back to the doctor to talk about what the doctor revealed, he received news that the doctor had passed away, not from the illness that he had, but of a broken heart. A week later, the funeral for the doctor is held at Haven Cemetery. Josh didn't formally attend, but instead watched the doctor's colleagues mourn their loss. From a distance where he was undetected, he didn't stay for the entire from a distance where he was undetected. He didn't stay for the entire service as he turned and began to walk away. The attendees of the funeral held their palms up towards the sky, noticing it had begun to snow. Before Josh could get far, a portal appeared in front of him, and the guiding angel appeared in front of him, Apathiel. Josh furrowed his brow in confusion, but wasn't entirely thrown off by the archangel's appearance. "I've seen you before," Josh said. Apathiel nodded. "Young Joshua, you are truly alone now, are you not?" Apathiel asked. Josh sullenly nodded, and Apathiel reached out a hand. "Come with me. I will take you somewhere where you will be welcomed." Josh stepped out of the portal in front of a house he's never seen before. He looked back at Apathiel, who was no longer there. Then he shrugged and walked up to the door and knocked. "I got it," someone shouted from inside. The person attached to the voice opened the door, and Josh was stunned at the girl he saw standing before him. Glasses, black half shirt, brown skirt, and purple hair. Lux is out under the street lights on a non-busy street looking at his glowing arms. "Hey." Lux turns around to see Saburai, the subject who received the serum, at the same time as him. So this was the guy that was screaming at the doctors to like, this is it, because his nails were just super long, and he was disappointed by that. But this is the guy who was in the chamber at the same time, and Lux shut down the entire power to the entire facility. Lux turns around to see Saburai, the subject who received the serum at the same time as him. Saburai points at his scarred eye. "You did this, you son of a bitch," he says. "You must have me confused with someone." "No," Saburai interrupts. "You were there. You caused the entire building to go crazy, and that shorted out my chamber and caused this." Lux stands wary of what Saburai might do. "Look, man, I didn't know what would happen. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix my eye, man. My face was perfect." "You sure?" Saburai lunges at Lux, lightly scratching him across the stomach. "You're gonna have to pay with your life. I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna die. Dead." As in, Lux shoots energy directly in Saburai's face, knocking him back. Lux puts his over his mouth. What is that? Oh, puts his own hand over his mouth. Why did I write that? Damn, maybe that was a little much. Saburai stands up with his face facing the sky. He slowly brings his head down to glare at Lux, revealing his face had been burned from Lux's blast. In a matter of seconds, though, his face completely heals, as in not coming back. He rushes Lux again. "Put up a fight." Lux, with a confused look on his face, dives out of the way of Saber Eye's lunge. Wait, if you can heal, why can't... It was during the procedure, dumbass. I couldn't heal as I got my regeneration. Saber Eye says, glaring at him. He readies for another attack. Are you more fearful now that you know I can't be killed? Nope. Saber Eye stands straight up, perplexed at Lux's response. All of Lux glows with energy, now ready to attack. In fact, I'm excited to see what else I can do with these powers. Lux shoots energy at Saber Eye, but Saber Eye dodges. Lux redirects his attack, but Saber Eye dodges again. Lux redirects again, this time connecting and hitting Saber Eye in the chest. Lux looks up at a lamppost with the white bulb, reaches out his hand and sucks the energy from the bulb into his arm, leaving the bulb dead. Saber Eye has finished regenerating from Lux's last attack. Lux charges his energy again, but instead of green, it glows white, like the light bulb. Lux blasts the energy at Saber Eye, but Saber Eye ducks under the blast and dives at Lux with his nails. His nails pierce Lux's stomach, and blood gushes from the wound. He falls to the ground. Saber Eye stands over Lux's body, preparing to stab him again, but he's blown away by Sonic's scream. 3 people stand over Lux's limp body. Tech, Sonaro, and Charge. Halt, villain, Charge commands, pointing with her pigtails shaking as she does. Her pink superhero suit catches Lux's eye, more specifically the yellow electricity pattern running down the side of the suit. Nadia, there's no one around to say they witnessed this. You can drop the act, Sonaro says, adjusting his headphones on his beanie. Focus. I'll try to get him out of here. You two keep him off me. Tech says, picking up Lux. Her navy blue hoodie and white hair brushes across Lux's face, causing him to sneeze. Sorry. Your hair smells nice, Lux says, woozy. Okay, let's get you some help, she responds. Sonaro continues screaming at Saber Eye while Charge shoots electricity, shocking him as he tries to dodge the screams. Tech looks at Lux's face. He's fallen unconscious. So that kind of short segment was the end of Chapter 7. We're now on page 83, Chapter 8. Lux opens his eyes. He's in an apartment cluttered with multiple belongings, each showing the personalities of people who live there. Punk rock things, island belongings, and happy stuff. Lux sits up, holding his head and sighing. He looks over at the subjects, Tech, Sonaro, and Charge, who are standing in front of him. Charge is holding up a peace sign. Sonaro has his chest puffed out. Tech has her arms crossed. Sonaro gestures his hands at Charge and Tech. Hi there. We are registered heroes. We call our little group the Subjects. Yeah, where are your costumes? Lux questions. Sonaro charges at Lux, while Charge and Tech hold him back. Where's your costume, jerk? Whoa, take it easy, man, Lux says. We apologize for Alejandro. He has a bit of a temper, Charge says. How'd you guys find me? Lux asks. Alejandro has super hearing, among other abilities, Tech responds. You're lucky I did hear you, punk, he says. The door creaks open and 7 people walk in. The blue tiger and red superhero girl from before, Ice Cap and Ardentia, but Lux gets a better look at the other 5. One in a college letterman jacket and backwards cap that was throwing the rocks, Seismic. One in a hoodie and no shirt that was shooting fire, Ash. One with silver hair that was shooting lightning, Typhuse. One with purple hair and glasses that was most likely using telekinesis, Sina. And one with white hair and a green karate gi that was most likely using the energy blast, Vital. Everything all right in here? Seismic asks. We heard yelling, says Ardentia. Lux grimaces in pain trying to get up. You were the people fighting that dude in the hoodie. Yep, says Ice Cap. You saw that? Vital asks. Lux nods. What happened to him? Typhuse rubs his own neck. Backup came. You know, the organization who are giving people superpowers. The Alpha Corps, Sina says. That. Lux rubs his chin. Speaking of, why aren't you guys registered with them? How do you know we're not registered? Seismic asks, folding his arms. Lux glances at Ardentia and Ice Cap. The app. Lux answers. He pulls out his phone and shows them. None of you are in the database, but these three are. He points at the subjects. Vital puts his hands in his gi pants pockets. We were given our superpowers. His looks trails over to Seismic, who shakes his head. Through other means. Who was that guy you were fighting? Lux asked. He had those black orbs floating around him, and he kept reshaping them into things like spikes and hands. An alien, they all say. Fucking alien? Here? Why didn't you tell anyone? Lux shouts. Please help me, someone from outside shouts. He's shouting. I'm not shouting. Everyone turns and runs to a window in the apartment. A man, Detonade, stands in the street, holding the back of his neck, crouching over in pain. I can't stop it. Boom. He spreads his arms out with his palms facing the sky as an explosion comes from him, shattering car door windows and rocking the street. He goes to crouching over and holds the back of his head. He hears footsteps and looks up to see Lux, the seven heroes, and the subjects. Ash, Seismic says. Seismic forms a rock wall covering the back and sides of Detonade. He explodes again. Ash steps out from behind, and Seismic sucks in the fire from the explosion. Lux steps forward. Fire contains light, right? It's a natural light, Ash answers. But it's not light in the traditional sense. Why? What are your abilities? The doctor told me energy manipulation, Lux says. Let me just see if I can... Detonade explodes again. Lux and Ash suck fire from the explosion, the fire turning Lux's energy orange. Ardentius steps behind Seismic and puts a hand on his shoulder. So, I know that doesn't make much sense. Lux being fire isn't really, technically speaking, energy. But that'll be explained much later in the series why he's able to do that. And why his energy keeps changing color. Ardentius steps behind Seismic and puts a hand on his shoulder. John, this isn't getting us anywhere, she says. I thought we agreed, Leia, that we wouldn't use our real names in public, Seismic says. Hey! Another hero appears, Anthroman, wearing a gray, skin-tight superhero suit, with an A typed out on the chest. He has a happy expression on his face. He waves at the massive hero group. Hey, he says, I think I can help here. Seismic pauses and then nods at the hero, lowering the earth barrier he created. Anthroman walks up to Detonade and puts a hand on his shoulder. Detonade looks back at Anthroman, confused that he is no longer exploding. You're gonna be alright now, man, Anthroman reassures. Lux, Seismic, and Ash are standing next to each other. Lux looks slightly angry. Seismic looks concerned. Ash has a blank stare. An armored truck, marked with the Alpha Core symbol, drives onto the scene. It screeches to a stop, and Commander Asai steps out of the vehicle. Lux steps in front of Asai. Lady, how many jobs do you have? He asks. She pushes past him and walks toward Detonade. In the background, the four other superpowered people step out of the truck. May, Detrio, Azo, and Akin. Asai stands face to face with Seismic. Each of the respective teams stand behind their leaders. I advise you to stand down, Asai threatens. Okay, says Seismic. Lux looks back at Seismic. Seismic shrugs. What? She's just doing her job? Dude. Ash puts a hand on Seismic's shoulder. You sure, John? Yeah, no sweat, he says. Detonade has a collar put around his neck and is handcuffed. He's being led into the truck by Asai. So that's it, Lux asks. Yo, you guys want to come with us to the base and see the base? Seismic asks everyone. Sure, Tech says. Why is no one acknowledging that Shady Lady showed up and just arrested a guy for not harming anyone? Lux questions. The heroes ignore him and are walking away. Anthroman goes his own separate way. Seismic looks back at Lux. You coming? He asks. Lux frowns. Yeah. There was a knock at the door. Miss Eri Nishimura, a lonely single woman in her 40s, walked to the door wondering who it could be at this time of the night. So this is another origin story because it's past tense. She wrapped herself in a shawl and opened the door. She expected to see someone like the one like one would when they heard a knock at the door, but no one was there when she looked out. However, when she looked down at the ground, she saw a baby cooing in a basket. Miss Nishimura smiled. She picked up the basket. She picked the basket up, looking around the front of her house one more time before going back inside and closing the door behind her. She placed the basket on the couch and walked over to her electric fireplace in the living room. On the wall, there were small framed pictures of her and dogs, small picture frames of her and dogs she used to have. It was also one of her and an unknown man, an ex-lover who was killed in a car accident. She walked back over to the couch and sat down next to the child, pulling at his feet. The baby frowned and began to whine and almost cry when Ari made a shushing motion with her mouth. The baby began to cry, but Ari made a silly face that lifted her hair with her fingers, moving the strands up and down. The baby cooed. The baby stopped crying and began to smile and even laugh. Ari stopped and sat back, smiling at the baby, and the baby's laugh got louder when Ari's hair raised again on its own. Ari tried putting her own hair back down, but something was keeping it up, and she looked at the laughing baby, assuming it's the child doing this. She assumed correctly because then the baby yawned and Miss Nishimura's hair dropped. She picked up the baby and cradled it in her arms, rocking it back and forth to help it sleep. As she did this, she looked at the top of the baby's head, seeing thin strands of hair. Curious about the color of the child's hair, Ari got up and carried the baby over to the warm, bright electric fireplace. Upon closer inspection, Ari saw that the baby's hair was neither black, brown, blonde, or even ginger. It was purple. She frowned. She furrowed her brow at the thought of any parents dyeing their children's hair before the hair has a chance to even grow. Then a thought shot into her head that this baby might not be what it seemed. She considered the fact that it was placed at her doorstep with no parents in sight, and that this child was able to do what she did to her hair. Now, that fact that she had what? Why did I write this? Like, I'm so confused. It's my own writing, and I'm confused as to how I wrote this. Now, that fact that she had purple hair. This is why this is being edited. This is wow. Hey, Dad. Ari leaned in closer to try to get a look at the baby's eyes, and as the baby blinked once again before drifting off to sleep, she saw a glimpse of its eye color, also purple. Ari decided she was going to raise the baby anyway. She named her Mila and was excited about being able to have family in her life again. Mila stormed into her room. Sorry if you can hear that, those are my birds. Mila stormed into her room and slammed the door shut behind her. She flopped onto her bed and put a pillow over her face, sighing as she heard her mother's footsteps approaching. "Go away, Mom," Mila said. "Mila, sweetie, we need to talk about this further," Ari said, just from outside Mila's door. Haven't you said everything you needed to say? I'm adopted, I get it," Mila said. "Have you ever wondered why your hair is different from everyone else's? Or why you have those gifts of yours?" Ari asked. Mila took the pillow off her face and heavily sighed again before getting up and walking over to her bedroom door, opening it for her mother. Mila walked back over to her bed and plopped down. Yeah, Daddy. And plopped down. Ari sat down beside her daughter. "Now, We may not be biologically related, but I am still your mother. I did raise you, Ares said. So, then where are my real parents? Mila asked, lowering her head. I'm sorry, I don't know, she said. I never met them. Well, can't we find them online or something? Mila asked. Or do one of those ancestry things to see? Ares smiled at her daughter. Worth a shot. Mila submitted a sample of her saliva for one of the ancestry tests. Both her and Ari patiently waited around for the next few weeks for the results, and they finally came in the mail, but the results were something neither of them were expecting. We're sorry to inform you that we could not find anyone linking to your ancestry. For further questions, please contact, Mila read. That's disappointing, Ares said. That's putting it lightly, Mila added. Suddenly, a portal opened up before the two of them, and Apotheo revealed himself. Harry clutched her chest in shock, and Mila frowned. You again? Mila asked. You know this? I don't know what you are, Ares said. I'm an archangel, Apotheo said. I'm a cosmic alien being dedicated to guiding the gifted ones of Earth. Alien, like the ones that attacked, Ari began to say. No, superior, and not evil, Mila informed. She turned on the Archangel. You said gifted ones, as in there's more than one. What are you keeping from me, Apotheo? There's more than one of you, each with different stories, the Archangel explained. But that is not what I came for today. I came to explain that you are not of this earth, Mila Nishimura. Aries' eyes went wide, and Mila just frowned some more. So where are my parents? Mila asked, crossing her arms. I do not know, Apotheo said plainly. So what the hell did you come here for? Mila interrogated. Just to say that. You're not going to find your roots connected to this planet. Both of your parents come from elsewhere, Apotheo continued. Actually, just one. But the other ascended to become more than human. I changed this fact in the story in one of a different villain's origin. I changed the fact her mother is actually alien as well. Just for this unedited version, I had it. This was back when her mother was also human, but she's not anymore. I retconned it. So one of the parents is human. Excuse me. Not anymore. How can you just change races? I cannot explain everything now. More will be revealed in the future, Apotheo said. Speaking of, expect one of the gifted ones I spoke about to show up at your doorstep one night. I would suggest you take him in. Mila and Ari looked at each other, and when they looked back at Apotheo, they saw that he vanished. As Apotheo had predicted, a year later, with Mila now being in college after graduating high school, another one like her showed up at her doorstep one night. After hearing the knock and wondering all these days if each knock would be the one that Apotheo spoke about, she headed downstairs, not expecting anything special. And she opened the door, letting in a breeze of cold air and some snow, since it was lightly snowing outside. But before her stood a blue humanoid tiger with a tail, wearing a baseball cap, basketball jersey, and sweatpants. They locked eyes, each noticing what separated them from humans. Mila with her slight differences, and Josh with his not-so-slight differences. Hey, Josh said shyly. I thought that said slightly. I'm tired. I'm guessing you're the one we've been waiting for. It's about time you showed up, Mila said dryly. She opened the door wider to let Josh in. Come on. Josh looked at Mila once again before entering her house. Mila guided him to the couch, and they both sat down. So I'm Josh. Mila. Nice to meet you, Mila, Josh said, nodding and then pausing to think about how to properly say his next sentence. This is gonna sound crazy, but have you spoken to an archangel telling me that you were coming? Mila asked. The same one that probably led you here. Yeah, I have. Did he tell you what to do or anything? Josh pried. to take you in," Mila said. She cocked her head to the side and lay her head in her hand. Wonder why he told us to do that. I've been going through a rough patch lately. With that, one of your favorite scenes, yes. For those who don't know, my mom, Kim, has read through this before. She said this is one of her favorite scenes. Yeah, it's a pretty warm scene. Um, you'll notice parallels between DC's Beast Boy and Raven in these two. Um, it's bigger parallels. You can probably figure it out on your own. But I didn't realize that until I made their relationship the way it is. Um, but let's continue. I've been going through a rough patch lately, with that patch really just being my entire life, Josh said. My father, a doctor who's been taking care of me my entire life, just died, and it's my fault. Did you kill him? No. Then how is it your fault? He died of a broken heart, Josh explained, because I wasn't there with him after he told me he's the one that coerced my parents into giving me up to him and the government to be tested on. Well, shit, Mila said. You seem pretty stable for someone in that situation. I'm an optimist, Josh said, leaning back on the couch and staring at the fireplace. Or at least I try to be. Kind of have to be one to make it when you've had a life like mine. Mila said nothing as she considered Josh's situation. He had had it much rougher than her. She was only slightly different physically, with his appearance being completely altered from a normal human's. She squinted at him. Hey, I know this is kind of a change of subject, but I kind of don't want to be depressed right now, Mila said. Josh smiled. Shoot. Can you, do you have any powers or anything? Mila asked. Yeah, although I don't want to demonstrate them in here, Josh said. Let's go outside. You might want to wear a coat. Mila put on a winter coat and followed Josh outside into the snow. Josh stepped onto the layer of snow, barefoot, feeling the welcoming, freezing temperature of his clawed feet. Mila cocked her head. Well? Josh smiled and looked up at the snow. With the wave of his hand, he stopped all the flakes of snow on the entire block from falling. They all just stayed in place, like time froze. I just added that sentence. That's not in the book right now. Mila, surprisingly, though not surprisingly, was not that impressed. Josh let the snow continue to fall. Now it was Mila's turn. Josh looked back up at the snow to see that it had stopped due to Mila using her power. He followed the snow with his eyes as several of the flakes stuck together, forming a snowball in Mila's hand. Can you manipulate water, or is that telekinesis? Josh asked. Find out for yourself, Mila said, smiling and chuckling, and chucking the snowball at Josh. Before it hit him, Josh opened his hand and caused the snowball to split back into a snowflake-y pile on the ground. Josh used his powers to float the snowflakes into his hand and formed his own snowball. He breathed onto the ball and caused it to become frozen solid ice. He lightly tossed the ice ball at Mila, but Mila caused his arms to shoot it to the left down the street. He smiled and looked at his hand, then at Mila. Telekinesis. Got it, Josh said. Mila shivered. Can we go back inside now? It's freezing out here, she asked. Sorry, making things warmer isn't what I do, he said. And he walked past her, opened the door. After you. They grew to become friends over the next few months. Josh went to college with Mila for a day to see what college would have been like. I mean, these people are suckers, he said. No guarantee they'll have jobs when they get out. But it's better to have the degree than to not, Mila said. I guess I would have kicked college's ass. All these classes are so simple, Josh bragged. I wonder if you'd say that if you were in a field like, oh, I don't know, engineering, Mila pondered. You kidding? Engineering's my shit, Josh said. So why don't you just go to college? Money. And the fact that I don't need a degree. If I really wanted to be an engineer, I don't need a degree or anything, Josh said. I'll prove it to you one day. I'll build something no one in this world has ever seen before. I'll take you up on that, Mila said, of course, not knowing about the ARC base Josh designed and helped build in the future. And it was now the future. And Josh had been approached by an architect that was sent by his high school teacher, McNeil. Josh and Mila were driven to the location on the edge of Haven City River and stepped out of the car to look at the land. So this is still in the past, but just further along in the future of the past. Josh was so ecstatic to hear that he would aid in the design of a hero base, but he couldn't help but think who would reside at the base. Well, for one, Ardentia said, floating out from behind the architect. Josh pointed at her, then the architect. Were you just waiting behind him to... Apotheos told me a lot about you both in the past few months, Josh and Mila. I'm Leia, Ardentia continued. She extended a hand to him. Josh shook it, then Mila. Apparently, we're all a rare breed of a new wave of something to come. Well, it sounds pretentious when you put it like that, Josh said, scratching the back of his neck. Mila nodded. Are you paying for this? My parents are. They're really supportive, Ardentia said. Well, it's their money and some of the government's money. The government's funding this? Mila questioned, with, no attachments. As long as we protect people, we should be good, Ardentia said. I feel like they would be testing on us instead of giving us something like this, Mila said, providing a valid point. So it's not one of those universes where somebody gets superpower and the government starts chasing them. No, in this universe, the government is part of it, so... They told me the reason, but I'm not allowed to disclose it until it's officially announced, Ardentia said. Josh and Mila exchanged looks. Apotheal appeared through a portal to ease their worries, but freaked out the architect in return. Leia is trustworthy. She is to aid in the construction of your new home, along with tracking down the other 4, the Archangel informed. Other 4, Josh repeated. New home? Mila echoed. Correct. There are 4 others like you all, that are to reside here. But you are welcome to design extra rooms if you trust even more will reside here, Apotheal confirmed. And I would suggest making this your new home if you want to protect those dear to you. You're asking a lot from us right now, man, Sina said. I don't know why I changed her name there. Normally in the past on Origin, I'll use their original, real name as opposed to their hero name. In the current, I use all hero names. Apotheal bowed his head. In due time, I hope you come around, he said before escaping through another portal. Mila looked at Josh. We're gonna need some time to think about this, right? She asked. Josh stayed silent. So the reason he stayed silent is he's obviously already made up his mind. He doesn't want to stay in Mila's house the whole time. And you're about to see that she eventually moved too. Lux, the subjects, and the 7 are at the ARC base, already settled in. It looks futuristic compared to the rest of the city's buildings, meaning it's more clean and sleek. The outside of the building resembles a dome shape with the main white color and violet accents. The inside is more or less the same, except really clean and shiny. There are several rooms throughout the base, one for each of the 7, and several guest rooms not yet personalized in case other heroes were to join their ranks, like Apotheal suggested. There's a training room built to withstand the varying abilities of the 7, so think of the Danger Room from X-Men or any sort of sci-fi training room. There are also many extracurricular rooms, like a game room, living room, a movie theater, and other things one would think rich people have in their giant mansions. They chat amongst themselves. Tech talks to Icecap, Sonaro talks at Typhus, Charge talks to Sina and Ardentia. I know these names are a lot. I try to name them as closely as possible to their powers without without copying some other company's character name. Um, but in due time, they'll be easier to know who's talking at what point. My hoodie string is off, and that's bothering me. Um, I'm just saying, bro. We could be like the Thunder and Lightning combo, Sonaro says. Don't you have someone on your team that has the same powers? Typhus asks. Man, that's electricity. I'm talking about the stuff from the sky. Lux and Seismic are in a different area of the living room. There was no reason to back down from that fight. We could have taken them, Lux says. Ardentia is the first to begin walking over to the two. They had no right to arrest him. He didn't do anything. Ardentia now stands beside them. Typhus is next to her. Excuse me. Let's all calm down, Ardentia says. What Jay here doesn't know is that we're technically working under the government, much like he is. The government partially gave us funds to build this facility. We are under their watch. If we slip up somehow, they will come for us, Seismic says calmly. And I am calm. Nah, come on, man. You're exploding with rage right now, Typhus says, with Seismic looking at him, catching his sarcasm. But that guy is in jail for doing something he couldn't control, Lux says. It's not our concern. Relax, Seismic says, mentally raising his guard, wary of anything Lux might try. We are also in the dark about how he received his abilities. How else than the serum, Lux asks. Seismic looks at Ardentia, who catches his gaze, then abruptly darts her eyes away. What are you teaching your team if justice isn't served correctly? What are you saying? I'm saying we should get involved, Lux says. We should be way more involved if we're to protect the city. No, what are you saying about my team? Seismic asks, waiting for Lux to slip up in response. I'm just saying that it's not a good look for your team if you let the government walk all over you, Lux says. Dude, you're literally an army reserve, Vital points out. And what makes you think I'm actually going to be a part of that? A slave to this country? Lux asks. The rest of them go quiet, but Seismic speaks up. You knew the risks of receiving the serum. You knew you'd become a reserve, and you received superpowers out of it, Seismic says. Why shouldn't you pay anything back? I couldn't control what would happen, Lux says, thinking about the real reason he went to receive the serum. If you don't know the real reason, I have a video up on YouTube, Into the Mind of Lux, and I act out the scene. It's like a video confession. I act out the scene of the real reason. He reveals the real reason he meant to get the serum. Thinks about his father, the entire reason he's actually speaking out against what Asai did to detonate. The fact that his father disappeared and no one else seems to care to look for him. Justice was not served for him. Seismic squints at him. My team will follow my lead. In return, I keep them safe and alive, Seismic says. Maybe you're not fit to lead these people, Lux says firmly. What do you mean, you people? Sonaro chimes in. That's not what You don't think I'm fit to lead. Fine. Let's fight for it, Seismic says, frowning. What? Let's fight for the role of leader of the team. He turns to Icecap. Josh, can you prep the training room? Yeah, Icecap answers, not entirely sure of what just happened. Thanks. Whoa, man, dial it back. Don't take it out on us, Typhus says, still sarcastically. They all enter the bright white training room. Lux and Seismic enter the arena, while the rest go upstairs to the control panel. The control room has a large window that looks out onto the arena floor. Icecap stands at the controls. Give me 1 second, I'm going to see how much more we have. Okay, we'll be done in a couple of pages. Where was it? I'm sorry. Okay. Kick his ass, Ardentia shouts. She looks back at the heroes while they look at her with confusion. What? Lux lights up his arms with green energy. Seismic stands uninterested with his hands in his pockets. Ready? Lux asks. Josh, Seismic calls. Icecap presses a button on the control panel. As a result, the white arena turns into a rocky wasteland. Hey, Lux complains. He bends down and touches the rocks on the ground. They're as real as any rock he's ever seen. What is this? Are you cheating? Well, You don't want me to tear up the actual training room, do you? Lux asked. How is this? Don't think much into it. Just think of it like a simulation. The ground beneath Lux's feet rumbles, and a shape is cut out of the ground. Seismic smirks. Lux jumps up, and away from the ground he was standing on, in place of the ground, is a pillar-like shape of a rock that shot up. So Seismic cut out a piece of the ground, and that piece of the ground rose like a pillar. And it was a bit confusing. Lux lands and blasts energy from his arms. Nice try. Seismic stands with his hands in his pockets still as the blast rushes towards him. A rock juts up from the ground, protecting Seismic. Lux exhales and continues the blast. Can't hide behind that forever, he says. Don't need to, Seismic retorts. Lux grimaces and stops shooting the energy blast. He looks down at his legs that are now trapped in rock. He looks at Seismic, who appears to be getting taller, as Lux himself slowly sinks into the ground up to his head. He looks up at Seismic, who casually strolls over to him. Get me out of this, Lux demands. Seismic raises him to the ground level and stands toe-to-toe. And Lux stands toe-to-toe with Seismic. Seismic reaches his hand out. We good? He asks. Lux looks at his hand and turns his back on him and storms out. The rest of them watch him go, and the room goes back to blank white. Seismic looks at the ground. Shouldn't we go after him? Icecap says over the loudspeaker. I think he'll come around, Ardentia says. Tech watches sullenly as Lux leaves. About 3 more pages. Lux stomps home, but suddenly at the sight stops suddenly at the sight of what's in front of his house. It's blocked off by police. He walks up to the caution tape as an officer tries to stop him, putting his hand out. Stop right there, son, the officer says. I live here, Lux responds. That's your house there? Yeah. We can't let you inside. Someone broke in. Lux looks over behind a police car and sees his mother. Mom! He ducks under the tape and runs to her. Jackie embraces him. So this is supposed to be a bit of like a tense scene, because superheroes, the parents normally die in comic books and stuff. This was supposed to be like a fake out. Are you hurt? Lux asks. No, she says, peeling off of him to get a good look at him. Boy, where have you been? You were supposed to call me after the procedure. I thought you were dead. Lux reaches in his pocket for his phone. It's not there, and he believes that he must have dropped it somewhere. No, Mom, I'm all right. A lot happened since the procedure. What happened to you? What became of it? An officer approaches the two. Okay, ma'am, it's all clear. We got a report from the landlady that she saw someone in your place. Due to the description she gave of a Caucasian male with extremely long fingernails, it's apparently a perp named Jack Blade. Be on the lookout for him, and let us know anything else you have on him. I know the name's kind of silly. Jack Blade. It was originally Jack Knife. That's even sillier of a name, but I wanted his name to be a little goofy because his original name when I was in 6th grade was Saber Eyes, so I just kept that name, just like Ice Cap's name, Polar Ice Cap. But yeah, that's right, Mama. Yeah. Lux's eyes go wide and begin glowing. Jackie looks at him confused and shocked. The officer has the same expression. What the hell, kid? Are you registered? Yeah, Lux replies. The officer looks around to make sure no one is within an earshot before leaning in to whisper. If you catch him in the act, you know you have legal permission to apprehend him, right? Yeah. All right, just letting you know. You two have a good night. The officer says, the officer gets into his car and drives off. Jackie still has the same expression on her face. What the hell is that in your eyes? I gained superpowers from the procedure. I'm a registered hero now. Paid. You don't have to worry about tuition now, because this is what I want to do. We'll talk more about that later. And about you taking the money in the first place. But first, let's go get you another damn phone. Because apparently, the one you had doesn't work. Yeah, I think I dropped it or something, Lux says, not recalling ever dropping it. Unless in this fight with Saber Eye. So I had to come up with a reason that he never reached out to his mother after the serum. I didn't realize that until after. But I didn't want him to go see his mother until now. I wanted there to be a fake out. So I just said he dropped his phone in the fight with Samurai. Lux lies awake in bed after sending out his new number to his short contact list. His new phone vibrates from receiving a text message. He looks at it to see it's Kendra. Jay, I need you. That's what the text says. Lux sits up and rubs his face. He gets out of bed and gets dressed. He walks up to Kendra's door, and before he can knock, she opens it. Hey, she says. She waves him inside and clicks the door behind her. Upstairs. Lux follows her upstairs into her bedroom. Her bedroom isn't that decorated, unlike the rest of the house. You know, as long as I've known you, I never realized I've never been in your bedroom, Lux says. He sits in a chair, and she climbs on her bed. She passes the space next to her bed. We're friends, Jay. You can sit on my bed. Okay. He sits next to her. What's up? I think I want the serum. And that's where we're going to end it. Tonight, I am extremely tired, and I have to get up tomorrow morning as well. But, thank you for everybody that stopped by. This will be up on YouTube later tonight. And we will continue tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with Chapter 9. Good night, everybody.